Lori, are you, we have communications?
We do, Governor.
Are you ready to proceed?
Sorry, we are.
What did she say? She said she was, but you've got 1 minute. So public meeting.
We are good to go, Governor.
Well, not according to the treasurer's cell phone. We have to wait 1 minute.
Well, there's a line of people coming in for public comment. Give them a chance to get settled.
Is Mr. Aycroft there also?
He is.
Okay. Soon as I get the thumbs up from the treasurer, we will proceed.
Some minutes are longer than others. Yesterday, refreshing Twitter. Oh, that's,
Hey,
you're good.
all right. All right, well, call to order the State Board of Finance meeting scheduled for today, October 4th, 2024 at 1 p.m. And we will kick it off with the roll call. Ms. Hoover.
Thank you. Governor Lombardo,
Here.
Treasurer Conine,
Here.
Controller Matthews,
Here.
Member Edwards,
Here.
Member Navarro.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum.
Thank you. We move on to the first opportunity for public comment. Comments from the public are invited at this time pursuant to NRS 241.020 subsection 3D7. The board intends to limit the comments to 3 minutes. And no restriction will be imposed based on viewpoint. Comments will only be received on matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction. The board may discuss, but is precluded from acting on items raised during public comment that are not on the agenda. Do you have any public comment there in Carson City?
We have nobody present. Do we have anybody online? And we have nobody online.
Okay,
Jeff.
you want to provide public comment today?
No comments. Not at this time.
Or, okay, for the record, there's no public comment here in Las Vegas. And we will move on to agenda item number 3 for discussion and possible action on the Board of Finance minutes from the meeting held on August 8, 2024. Are there any questions or concerns on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against, nay? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 4 for discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of up to $26 million of multi-unit housing revenue bonds located at 28th and Sunrise Apartments, or called 28th and Sunrise Apartments, for the purpose of construction of a 121 unit affordable family housing rental project in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Aycroft.
Good afternoon, governors, members of the boards. For the record, Steve Aycroft, the administrator of the Nevada Housing Division. With me today virtually is our Chief Financial Officer, Christine Hess. We come before you to seek the approval of the board for the finding of facts pertaining to the issuance of up to $26 million of NHD multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the 28th and Sunrise Apartments. These bonds will be used to provide for the new construction of a 121-unit affordable family apartment complex in central Las Vegas at 2601 Sunrise Avenue. The board had previously heard this agenda item in June of 2024, where it was approved. The bond issuance has changed from a public offering to a private placement. The amount of bonding authority has not changed, nor have the principals in the deal. But because of the new structure of the bonds, we are seeking the reapproval for this item from the board. Basically, in the financing, the construction phase will be issued by the division as a direct placement with U.S. Bank. Permanent will be with Freddie Mac. This will result in a reduction of transaction costs, a greater ease of transaction, a reduced closing time frame, and an opportunity to enter into an early interest rate lock. And with that, we will be happy to entertain any questions.
Christine, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Governor. I think, and Treasurer, members of the board, Christine Hess for the record. I think that Administrator Acroft covered it well, and just seeking your approval again. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or concerns from any board members?
No.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I will move to approve the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of up to $26 million of multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the 28th and Sunrise Apartments.
For the record, that's Controller Matthews. He made the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against, nay? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 5 for discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of up to $20 million of multi-unit housing revenue bonds, Duncan and Edwards Apartments, for the purpose of construction of an 80-unit affordable family housing rental project in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Acroft.
Thank you again, Governor. Steve Acroft for the record. We come before you today to seek the approval of the board for the findings of facts pertaining to the issuance of up to $20 million of NHD multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the Duncan and Edwards project. These bonds will be used to provide for the new construction of an 80-unit affordable family apartment complex in Northwest Las Vegas at 5901 Duncan Drive. Again, you heard this agenda item in June of 2024. And again, the bond issuance has changed from a public to a private placement. Effectively, what I've described in the previous agenda item takes effect here also. And with that, we'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Ms. Hess, anything?
Christine Hess for the record. No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any questions or concerns? Agenda item number 5. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
This is Member Edwards. Move to approve the findings relating to the issuance of up to $20 million in multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the project at 5901 Duncan Drive in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against, nay? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. And then we'll move on to agenda item number 6 for discussion only, New West Community Funding Update. Mr. Acroft.
Thank you again, Governor. The information should be supplied to you on a one sheet for this agenda item, and this has to do with our Growing Affordable Housing Program, or what we like to refer to as GAP. We established it back in 2016 by using division funds to provide for the last bit of monies into a particular deal. And the analogy that I like to use is if you walk into a dollar store with 91 cents in your pocket, you come out with nothing. But if you walk into a dollar store with $1 in your pocket, you actually do come out with something. And that used to work better when things were actually $1 in the dollar store. Anyway, I think it still holds. And so that little $3 million, and it's not little, but it's really, really pertinent to getting these deals over the curb. Since 2016, we have done, up until 2024, we had used 20 projects, roughly had received the funding. In 23, 24, as this board is well aware, projects were using a lot of ARPA and Home Means Nevada dollars for that gap financing. And with those projects now being approved, but there are still significant gaps in those projects. We've created a pilot program here, which basically combines some private financing with public to get us above that $3 million historical gap financing product that we've given. And so that's what's illustrated in the left-hand column. In the center column, you will see we're able to, with this project, go up to $5 million. The interest rate has been increased, but still below market, as we are able to combine those funds. And with that, I will turn it over to Christine if she has anything else to add.
Thank you, Administrator and members of the board. Christine Hess for the record. I would just add that while this initial loan we consider it to be a pilot, we are hopeful that this is a model that can be duplicated. We noted the terms on that one pager. And interestingly, we were just in Phoenix with some other groups across the country of housing finance agencies. And that structure in which Vintage, the developer in this case, was able to bring its investors and senior debt financing on board with, in which they are splitting the cash flow immediately after being placed in service and upon conversion to the permanent loan between a deferred developer fee and the division loan. This new structure allows the division to turn the funds more quickly because this debt is subordinate debt, and typically the repayment starts after the deferred developer fee is paid off. So while we're excited to have done all these projects since 2016, needless to say, it makes the revolving loan fund feature a slower return. So this model currently does two things. One, it's allowed a partner, New West Community Capital, which is a community development finance institute based in Boise, but certainly a critical partner here in Nevada and with Nevada as a target audience. It's allowed that partner to come in and contribute to this affordable housing project. And additionally, it is providing a structure that is allowing for a quicker return on those funds. So, and at least on the first half of those funds. So we're hopeful that this can be a model that works for some. It certainly won't work for all, but that works for some of our projects as the gaps continue to be greater than 3 million. Certainly we're not in the dollar store anymore with dollar prices. Thank you.
Did you think about that analogy for a while?
Actually, excuse me, Chris, that analogy with the dollar store, that's on the administrator. He's always great for those.
I know. So a couple questions. I don't know who's better to answer it, but why is 3 million the threshold?
So it's a great question, Governor. That's when we identified the capital stacks, and this goes back to 2016. That was the typical gap that we saw in those projects. So that 91 cents that I quoted you, that was really actually true projects. And it was just that 9% that came in that we were missing, and that 3 million actually did seem to fill that gap. Inflation, $3 million nowadays, really probably equivalent is 4.2 to 4.5 million would be my guesstimate. So we're still probably a little bit short of that. We're constantly kind of reviewing the division reserves that we can use for this program. So we may have to increase that. Christine could probably add a little bit more to exactly what steps we're taking to review that.
And how is that?
Yes,
how is that accomplished? Is it statutory?
Yes, thank you, Governor. I'll add on as well, Administrator Across. So That is an internal policy decision, Governor, and certainly one that we are actively looking at. Currently, as you know, with the volume cap limitations, we're analyzing the process to apply for bonds. And as such, we're also analyzing how we structure our gap financing. The concern for the division is, although the gaps have gotten larger, we still have a limited pool of funds. And as I mentioned, even though it's a revolving loan fund, it's not turning quick enough. So, for the division to put in $6 million, which is a real gap right now, at a pop would really tax the division's reserves, and we would be very limited in the number of projects we could do. That said, both with this creative method and still appreciating that the gaps are larger, the administrator and myself, we are anticipating coming forward with an ability to fill larger gaps come this winter and spring.
And then how do you identify who your partner is going to be? This example being New West.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. Christine Hess for the record. So in this case, as much as I would love to say I was genius, it really was not me. It was actually New West about a year and a half ago when I started working for the state. I said, how are we going to work together? Because we've had a great partnership for the last 4 years. And there was one thing that the principal of New West mentioned that, we could consider participation or supporting partnering on some gap financing. So this just happened to be a project in which New West also got to know the project. So it really was specific to the project. If Vintage didn't want to work with New West, they wouldn't have had to. But really, any developer, the way that I'm envisioning this program, any developer can bring a CDFI, or a CDFI can come to the developer or come to the division rather, and we'll connect them with the developers if they'd like to participate in this. And it's why the structure there is described, an 18-year term. Not every CDFI goes out that long, so there may be few who do that, but the term could look different. And the structure of the loan could look different. So really, the program would be the partnership to provide increased funding, and it will really depend on the developer and the private finance partner that's interested.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else have any questions? All right, seeing none, it's informational only. Thank you very much for the information. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, second opportunity for public comments. Do we have any public comment there in Carson? Ms. Hoover?
We have nobody here, and do we have any online? And none online either.
All right, doesn't look like there's anybody here in Las Vegas.
Last chance.
No? All right, so I will make a motion for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, Steve.
Everybody have a good